So I'm going to talk about onigiri. I don't know anyone knows what that is. It looks like, I mean, the picture itself, it looks like a mountain, but it's not. It's actually a Japanese rice ball. Their staple food. So I want to say something that kind of, when most people think of Japanese food in Western culture, they think of sushi, which this one, it's a California roll. California roll is actually invented in California, not in Japan. So if you think Japanese food, that's your normal thing, this is not your Japanese food. This is something that's invented by the Western people. Avocado is expensive in Japan. So basically, onigiri, it's a type of rice ball, just very simple. It's the most humble and practical food. It's made with rice, seaweed, and something in the middle. I have no idea what it is, but that's the idea. It's like you can put anything in there. It's sort of, there's the reason why they have it. There's different ways of wrapping a rice ball. There's instructions of you can wrap it with a round shape. You see the square shape, which is like press your finger, the triangular palm, and also the tube shape. So in a way, if you think of it, it's actually, if you use your hand, it's sort of like they kind of design it that way. So it's very simple, which it comes to like the Japanese of their simplicity and their design. The seaweed itself, the reason why it has it is because so that it doesn't fall apart. Japanese the onigiri, different with sushi is the onigiri is actually salty, so you add salt with the rice. So another way of eating it is yaki onigiri, which is grilled, kind of like a salty version of marshmallow. But so you have like the crispy side outside, and once heated inside, it's kind of chewy and soft. And so that's another way of eating it. So there is. Why is this like? I haven't been watching a lot of cartoons, but the reason I'm bringing it is because Japanese is so ingrained in their culture. It's part of culture. So you have like animations that actually put onigiri. It's part of what it is. It's sort of like the conversation piece. It's from samurai, from old. It started as like sort of traveling, where they can have something they can traveling with food, and it's also this one is actually a fossil they found in 1987. It's like the oldest onigiri. Apparently, there's a fossil onigiri, and this is a village that's called Onigiri Village, where they have a mascot and a manhole with onigiri. That's in Japan, with the information sign of Japan. So they do really far it out in terms of when they perfect something, they need to have it. So where do they usually found in Japan? So there's specialty shops where they have just sell onigiri as a grab and go for lunch, pick up, about like $3 to $5 each, kind of like a nicer way of a lunch, grab and go lunch. Usually there's just a front end. You don't eat in, and also mostly you'll find it at a convenience store. Where here, when you go to 7-Eleven, you get hot dogs which stay for like, I don't know how long they've been, or a sandwich that looks kind of soggy, but these ones are all wrapped. So you see it's all on the floor. People just grab and go, which leads to the next slide, which we're going to talk about. Japanese design of how smart it is. It's the way of the onigiri is designed so that you actually in order to keep the seaweed fresh, they design a way where you can rip it apart. It gives you instructions so that actually when you eat it, you're not eating like a soggy seaweed with like rice, but it's like a crispy covered with the rice. Nutritional facts. You know how this is, when you look at it, the onigiri around range under 200 calories. When people talk about nutritional, when you're talking about a fast snacks, it's like, well, you compare it with a muffin and a scone. For me, it's like, this is something that you can grab and go. It keeps you sort of stabilize your metabolism. And also with the interaction, we're talking about like food and how you interact. And this is a great way to teach your kid when the 4 little kid, instead of having them sort of struggling with forks and knife or anything, you have a kid learning about just use your hand, tactile, and play with the food. Look at the picture of the girl she's wearing, like that little sort of, and this is what people into inspire. Because imagine a kid making something their own food, but then turn into the creativity. They're making something that looks like the cute little shirt they're wearing. Sort of like the connection with starting to know like the food, instead of adding a lot of sugar. This is all like just pure like seaweed and rice, and with other sort of things. And it talks about Japanese design. It leads to like product, which is Japanese are perfectionist. They have to make a mold that provide the perfect panda. It's exactly, it gives you the mold, but these are sort of leads into the product design, designing something for very simple, but it's very practical and gives you sort of like, give you an idea of how Japanese culture is with their simplicity and perfection. And it leads to all these different elements too. So we have like icons and earrings and a kitty onigiri, and then you have like pillows. So it's something so simple, but it's sort of like, it can develop into something sort of people can play with it. And this is a shot. It's a Japanese TV show that's a design TV shows that we invite designers to teach kids about design and how they sort of break down the elements of each sort of, you kind of look at the process of just a simple rice, but you can play with it with the deconstruction of a design. This is something how you find it in Hawaii. It's called spam musubi. You can only find it in Hawaii. It's something that they took over, started after World War II. So it's a spam because of it's not really tasty because it's spam and rice. I don't know how beneficial, but it's something like a very unique. So it's also sort of spread out where Berlin has their own sort of rice up. It's an onigiri stand. And they're also in San Francisco where they started with a food truck and then now it's gotten to like 5 or 6 restaurants. And in the middle is called Abukishi, which is my friend who actually did a presentation last month on her other project. But she has started something. And finally, I'm going to start with this because it's like something really simple, but you can turn into look at how Lady Gaga I don't know if she actually, her stylists have taken that, but it's like when you look at something so simple, but the idea of it turning into something more